Roy Orbison, one of the most distinctive voices in rock music, died at the age of 52 after suffering a heart attack at his home in Nashville, Tennessee. He was taken to hospital but passed away shortly afterward. By then he had already lived several lifetimes inside one career. A shy boy from Texas who became a giant of the 1960s, faded from the spotlight, and then returned to the charts decades later alongside Bob Dylan and George Harrison. For years, the public believed his heart simply gave out. That explanation fit the long history of health problems, the smoking, the bypass surgery. Yet questions lingered, fueled by whispers, leaked documents, and the weight of tragedies that had followed him for most of his life. Roy Orbison carried more than music in his final years. He carried grief, memory, and stories the world never fully understood. Roy Kelton Orbison was born on April 23, 1936, in Vernon, Texas, during the hard years when the Dust Bowl still scarred the land and families lived day to day. His parents, Orbie Lee Orbison and Nadine Schultz Orbison, struggled to make ends meet, moving where work would take them. Orbie drilled oil wells and repaired cars, filling Roy's early world with the sound of engines, radios, and country music. Vernon was harsh and quiet, but inside their small house something was forming. At 6 years old, Roy asked for a harmonica. His father gave him a guitar instead and showed him simple chords at night after work. That guitar became his anchor, the place where he poured feelings he didn't yet have words for. By the time he was 8, Roy was already singing on local radio station KVWC, performing Hank Williams songs with a voice that sounded far older than his body. He earned small amounts of money, barely enough for school supplies, but it mattered to a family still feeling the Great Depression's shadow. People began talking about the boy with the strong, aching voice. He started writing songs, quietly learning how to turn emotion into melody. At 9, he won a radio contest and earned his own weekly show, and around that time he wrote his first song, A Vow of Love, sitting outside his grandmother's house. In 1946, he entered a traveling medicine show talent contest, tied for first place, and split the prize money with a friend who had carried his guitar. Even then, generosity came naturally to him. That same year, the family moved to Wink, Texas, drawn by oil field work. Wink was flat, dry, and lonely, a place Roy later described as nothing but football, oil, grease, and sand. The emptiness seeped into him and later echoed through the lonely sound of his music. At 13, he formed his first band, the Wink Westerners, playing country and swing at local dances and honky-tonks. Money slowly came in, and one night he earned $400, an enormous sum for a teenager. For the first time, music felt like an escape route. Life shifted again in 1953 when Roy's mother died suddenly from a respiratory illness. He was 17, and the loss shattered him. Wink felt more isolated than ever. He worked odd jobs to help his father and pushed his grief inward, pouring it into music. Those feelings would later define the ballads that made the world stop and listen. He enrolled at North Texas State College to study geology as a backup plan but quickly realized his heart wasn't in it. Music kept pulling him back. He switched majors, kept his band alive, and in 1955 recorded Ooby Dooby, inspired by the emerging rockabilly sound. That song opened doors. In 1956, Roy and the Teen Kings recorded at Sun Records, and Ooby Dooby reached the Billboard charts. National success came quickly, but so did frustration. Roy wanted emotional ballads, the label wanted fast rockabilly. Royalty disputes and creative clashes followed, and by the end of the year he left Sunday. For a brief moment, he considered returning to oil field work. Then the Everly Brothers recorded Claudette, a song he wrote for his wife, and it became a hit. It proved he could survive as a songwriter, even when his own career felt unstable. By the end of the 1950s, Roy found a home at Monument Records. There his true sound emerged. Only the Lonely exploded in 1960, reaching number 2 in the United States and number 1 in the UK. The song's dramatic build, soaring falsetto, and raw emotion felt unlike anything else on the radio. Suddenly, the quiet man with dark glasses was everywhere. Hits followed in rapid succession. Crying, Running Scared, Blue Angel, each one reinforcing his reputation as a singer who could express heartbreak without raising his voice. His stage presence was as unusual as his sound. He barely moved, standing still while his voice did all the work. The dark sunglasses became part of his image by accident, but they gave him a sense of protection and mystery. While other performers danced and strutted, Roy let the music speak. Audiences leaned in, hanging on every note. Behind the success, his personal life was unraveling. Constant touring strained his marriage to Claudette. They divorced in 1964, remarried in 1965, and tried to rebuild something fragile. Then tragedy struck. In June 1966, Claudette was killed in a motorcycle accident, dying in Roy's arms. He canceled shows, withdrew from the world, and tried to survive the unbearable silence she left behind. 2 years later, while Roy was touring England, fire tore through his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. 2 of his young sons died in their sleep. Only one survived. Investigators ruled it an accident, likely caused by faulty wiring and an aerosol can, but the loss destroyed him. Grief settled into his body. He smoked heavily, his ulcers worsened, and stress ate away at his health. Still, he kept performing because music was the only thing that held him together. The late 1960s and 1970s were difficult. Changing musical trends, label pressures, and declining chart success pushed him further from the spotlight. He signed with MGM, recorded relentlessly, and watched his songs struggle to find an audience in a world overtaken by the British invasion, disco, and glam rock. His health collapsed in the late 1970s, leading to triple bypass surgery. Doctors warned him repeatedly, but he returned to the stage as soon as he could. In the 1980s, something shifted again. Roy experimented with new sounds, then found renewed recognition when younger artists rediscovered his work. In 1988, he joined the Traveling Wilburys with George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne. The collaboration reignited his career and reminded the world of his brilliance. Soon after, he recorded the album Mystery Girl, filled with warmth, joy, and a sense of renewal. But his body was failing. Despite chest pains and warnings, Roy kept working, full of plans and optimism. On December 6, 1988, he collapsed at home and died suddenly. The official cause was heart failure, the result of years of damage. Mystery Girl was released after his death and became a massive success, earning him posthumous awards and a new generation of fans. Roy Orbison's life was marked by extraordinary beauty and devastating loss. He carried both into his music, leaving behind songs that still feel intimate and timeless. In his final days, he spoke of tours, family, and the future, unaware that his time was almost over. What remains is a voice that still rises, lonely and powerful, long after the man himself was gone.